Hi everybody, welcome back to DayZ, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can create your own dynamic group events for your PC, PlayStation or Xbox console server. Although the way that we're going to do this, you really do need to have DayZ on PC so that you can use the vanilla ++ admin mod on your local server to create the files that we're going to need. And the idea is you can create something like this, where the idea of this is that some survivors have come to shore on these lifeboats. They set up a military tent here, and around there's various stuff that's spawning in as per the central loot economy. So just like a helicopter crash, or the train events, or the military convoy events, or the police convoy events. In fact, if we jump on the map and then we go down to here, there's another one where we just hopefully round about here. Oh, here we go. That was very lucky. And with this one, you can see there's a part of a ship out to sea, which actually does spawn loot as well. And then we've got more lifeboats with quite a lot of loot around. So I'm going to kind of explain the theory and how this works. And I'm also going to provide a file where you can kind of follow along so that you can then produce your own events as well. Now normally, I know we've seen both these events, there is a third one as well on the East Coast. We've seen all these events occurring at the same time. Normally they wouldn't, you just have one of these events happening, and if someone happened to wander along and the event had fired, they would find a little bit more kit than you would normally find. And that's the idea, I think, behind having dynamic events. It should be an exciting thing, so if someone finds one, they're like, oh wow, brilliant, just like when you come across a helicopter crash. They also spawn in zombies as well, although the zombies have wandered off from this particular event. So where do we start? Well, you probably want to go over to my GitHub repository. I'll put a link in the description below the video, and there's this file here which you can download. And it's just a collection of XML snippets that I use to create this event. So to start off with, there's an event snippet that we use. Then there's the CFG event spawn snippet. Then there's the CFG event group or groups snippet. And then you've got the mapgroupproto entry, which deals with where the loot would spawn. And then you've got the types entry as well. So if you've got that, you can kind of follow along as we go along, and you could always use these as a template, I guess, to create your own event. So let's start off with, how do these things work? So as with all dynamic stuff really in DayZ, the events.xml file is very, very important. And as you can see, I've created a static shipwreck event here. So it's a static shipwreck event. I've said nominal of 3. Now with this particular case, there's only 3 possible ones that can occur anyway, and I've just gone for 3 so they all appear. Normally you would just have 1, so that only 1 appears, so they don't become a static thing, because again the idea is they appear and they disappear, and it's exciting when you find them. If we see down here inside the event, we've got the secondary, which is infected industrial. So again, that means that zombies are going to spawn in at the same time, and I thought the infected industrial zombies are the closest ones to sailors that were probably working on a commercial ship. The way that you can also get these snippets is if you take an example dynamic event group as well, so like the train one, and then cut that down to be exactly what you want. So that's the thing that's going to trigger the event happening. And then the next case is, of course, the CFG event spawn. And again, as you would expect, we have the event, which is the static shipwreck in this case, and underneath that we have the places where this event can spawn. So if we go down here, we'll see we've got these different positions where the things spawn. Dynamic min, dynamic max relates to the number of infected, I think, that can spawn in at the particular event. So we have that. So that's very similar to how an event would work, how a helicopter crash would work, for example. However, where it gets a little bit different is with the cfgeventgroups.xml. So if we remember, say, one of these names like Shipwreck Tiki, if we then go to cfgeventgroups.xml, you'll see we have these extra events here, or descriptions, sorry, of the events. And so what we say group name is Shipwreck Tiki, and underneath that are all of the objects that make up the event. So normally, for example, with a helicopter event, you'd look at the event and you'd have a child, and it would be the helicopter, and so it would spawn in. But we don't see this with event groups, because those children, they're detailed here in this particular entry. And what's unusual about the way that they work is that each event that spawns in the world is unique to that particular place that it spawns in. So with a helicopter event, say it's the UH1, it's the same UH1, it just goes to different parts of the map, doesn't it? It just spawns in. It might be at a different angle, and that's it, really. So in order to create lots of helicopter crash sites, what you can do is you can just add more coordinates to the event spawns, can't you? And you can go through, like we do. You can just add more. However, with the groups, you can't do that, because every single time the event fires up, it's unique to where it is. So we have to have an event group entry for the shipwreck at Tiki, an event group entry for the shipwreck at Tulga, and then one for the shipwreck at Beraziki up in the northeast of Chernarus. So they take a little bit more time to create. And that initial event spawn coordinate that we have here, so the one that tells you where it is, that is actually the location of the first object that spawns in. And then all the subsequent objects that then spawn in for this particular event are given coordinates relative to the first one. So, for example, with static object wreck ship big lifeboat, which is the first item that spawns in at shipwreck Tiki, the next lifeboat isn't given a set of complete coordinates. Instead, it's saying, okay, spawn this one minus 7x from the first one and minus 5z from the first one. So it's all kind of relative, and that's what makes them a little bit more difficult to create. And so when the event fires, the server looks at where it should spawn them in. It looks at the event group to see what objects it should spawn in as well. Now, if you're using any objects that aren't vanilla things, in other words, static objects, what you're going to also have to do is look at the mapgroupproto. Now, the mapgroupproto, this is the file that says to your server, when a particular item spawns in as an event, or normally in the world, but not as a custom JSON, what you need to do is you need to spawn in this style of loot, for example, in this case, military loot, and it might have things like like coast on it, or village, or something like that. What sort of stuff that could be: clothes, food, weapons, explosives, etc. And then around that particular thing at these coordinates. So probably an easier one to look at is if we take the lifeboat, for example. So the lifeboat I've included in my event group doesn't spawn with loot normally in the world, so it's not included in the mapgroupproto. So using the DayZ editor mod, which I kind of will show you how to do at the end of this video, what I've created is a mapgroupproto entry, and that says when the static object wreck ship big lifeboat spawns in, put stuff on it that would normally be found at the coast, that are tools, containers, clothes, food and weapons, at these particular points around the lifeboat, so that you can go and you can pick that stuff in and do them. And then also you need to make sure that in your types.xml you then include any objects that you put onto your event group that wouldn't again normally be in the game spawning in, which is really static objects. So you need to go down and you just copy, say for example, one of the existing land things and just put in your static objects there as well. I think I'm not really dead sure why you have to do this, because what I found is things that spawn in via an event, as you know, don't stay after a server restart. So the problem could be if you've got big things on your event. So in this case, for example, that ship out there, if somebody swam out to that ship to get the loot and there was a server restart, that ship wouldn't be there after the server restarted. Now you might be able to change that by adding more of a lifetime to the entry in types, so that if it was interfered with, i.e. someone was near it, it may well hang around, because excuse me, you don't want the situation where you create a dynamic event that's a building, for example, someone climbs to the top of the building, and then maybe they log off, and they log back in like a week later, and that building's not there anymore, and so they fall to the ground and die. So that would not be a fun experience for the people on your server. So I think you've just got to watch out for things like that when you're creating these dynamic events. Okay, so what we'll do now is we will create another shipwreck event, and I'll kind of show you how it kind of all comes together. So on the server, what we'll do, let's go somewhere else. So let's jump on the map. Let's go to, where should we go? Let's go near Skiliski Island. Let's go here, for example. Okay, let's go to Skiliski Island. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some lifeboats here. So you must be working on preferably a local server where you've got Vanilla++ admin installed. So what we're going to do is we're just going to exit out of here. And we're going to shut this down. And then we're just going to turn off my local server. And then we're going to turn it back on again with Vanilla++. There we go. And then we're going to go back into the launcher. Just going to refresh under LAN. Just make sure we've got 3. So we're going to join, set up DLCs, and join. So we're going to click on that. And so the local server is now going to log in again, but this time we're going to have the Vanilla++ admin mod working. Now we need this because the VPP plus admin mod has a very, very useful function at the moment whereby you can use its object builder to place objects in the world and then export them in the format that we need for group events. And you'll see when we do that, and it makes things very, very easy to do that. And then as long as you do everything in the right way, you'll see how absolutely easy it is to do this. So loading in, bum bum bum. One day I'll learn to edit these videos so they're a little bit faster. Here it comes. Right. Okay, so we're back here. So we don't really want to be back here. So map. Let's go around to here, for example. Oh, maybe not in the water. Let's come out of the water. And let's say in this particular location, some of those lifeboats came ashore as well. So I'm going to press end to fire up VPP admin. I'm going to press home to bring up the controls, and I'm going to go into the object builder. And I'm going to find lifeboat, because then we've got a static object wreck ship big lifeboat, and then I'm just going to click somewhere in the world. Sorry. Let me just go back. We're going to create a new building set first, and we're going to call this 4th shipwreck. There we go. Okay, and we're going to tick that one. So we're now working on this building set. So now we're going to search for lifeboat. We're going to click on that. We're going to drop a lifeboat here. Now, if I press backspace, I can go into free cam mode, and then I press spacebar to get my cursor back, and then if I press Alt I can move things up and down, and then we can press Shift to spin it around, so maybe something like that, come up a little bit. So let's put 1 there, and then let's do another one next to it, so for example there. Let's spin her around and then drop her down with Alt. Now, unfortunately, we can't affect the roll and the pitch. In fact, we'll bring that away a little bit. We can only go up and down and rotate it and move it sort of X and Z and Y. There may be a way around this at some point, but don't really know. So let's just save those edits. And so they're the 2 boats that we want to have as an extra group event. So all we need to do now is select them. So if you right click, you can do that. Ooh. With that selected. Oh, what have I done? Where have they gone? I think I just managed to delete them. Okay. Let's just delete those 2. Let's put them down again. 1 there. one there. There we go. Okay, so they're there. So let's save that edit. Let's select this. So we can right click and select things like that. Or if you wanted to, you could control click up here. And once you've got them selected and they've gone purple, just do Control Shift P and it will copy to your notepad the format we need. So now what we can do is if we jump back to, in my case, Vanilla++, and just create a new file and just paste them in, you can see we've now got a entry that we can use. And if we look for it, so we've got to give it a name. So let's give it a name first. So let's call it ship. Ooh, let's do it properly. Shipwreck Skaliski, because that's where they are. And then let's copy that and paste that in there. Let's change the loot min to 2. So there's a little bit more loot. Then all we need to do is if we just copy all of that. Now our event is okay because it's the shipwreck already there. Our event spawn we're gonna have to add it to there and then. But if we go to the event group, we want to add it here first. So if we just add it underneath the Beraziki one and we paste that in. So that's ready to go now. If we just copy this bit here, which gives us the coordinates for the first item and the name, and now we go back to the CFG event spawns, we can just copy that into there and we've added it in. And obviously you would save these, save that. Now we don't need to worry about the mapgroupproto in this case because we've already got the big lifeboat entered there, and we don't need to worry about the types either. So that's it. That's how easy it is to add these extra bits in once you've got started. Now obviously you're probably going to want to create event groups that are a little bit more complicated than this one, you know, 2 lifeboats. But remember, sometimes, you know, less is more, and the idea of just coming across something simple and being able to go, oh, there's a little bit of extra loot here, this isn't something I've seen before, can be quite exciting. So you would save this, you would upload it to your server, you would validate the XML files, and then you would restart it, and then your event will be good to go. So what we'll do now, just to finish off, I will show you how to create a map group pros entry for anything that's in the game that doesn't already have one. Now obviously most things already have a map group pros entry, but let's just shut this down. Let's shut the local server down because we don't need that. Go back to the launcher, go back to the mods, let's unload everything, and let's just go into the DayZ editor mod. So we load up the DayZ editor mod, yes please, load selected mods, hit play. And what the DayZ editor mod allows us to do is to create a compatible map group pos entry. It's very, very powerful, this. So you could edit existing entries and add more to it if you wanted to. Sorry, map group proto entry, or you could use it to add entries to items that don't have them. So as you can see, we've got all this. So generally, the ones that don't have a map group proto entry are the static objects. Lots of land ones do. So let's go open editor, generous plus. We'll go through. And I think this is very useful because obviously one of the things you could do is you could just place objects, you could place loot using the event group in the same way that we place loot when we create a custom object JSON. But that would mean that it would always be the same things there. And I like the randomness of calling on objects from the central loot economy. So let's just look for static. So here we go. So static furniture mattress white. So that's that. So what we could do here, so let's see if the mattress has an entry in mapgroupproto. So mattress, find all in current document. So there's no entry for this particular item. So if we were to use this as part of our event group, then nothing would spawn with it. But if we do this, if we right click it and say loot editor and it doesn't crash, which sometimes they can, it'll affect stuff. So here we go. So it kicks us out to C, and there's the mattress. So what we can do now is we just double click on it, and we can create all around it loop points, like so. Not too many, it's only a small thing. And then we press escape to come out of it, and it's copied these things to our clipboard. So if we now go to our open notepad and Control V, it created a map group proto entry for the mattress. Now the thing that probably won't be right is the usage name and the farm and the military stuff. So you'll probably want to change those two depending on where you want this mattress to be. It could be like village, it could be something else. You know, you might want it so it's just got coastal stuff on. And in order to give you an idea of what these could be, look at existing map group proto entries for similar things. So just go down and find something. Go, okay, so where we got? So what we got? So in the hospital, for example, if the mattress is in the hospital, you might want to use usage medic, container floor, tools, containers, and clothes. So you could take that and you could copy that out, and you could paste that in instead. And that would be a mattress that was in a hospital or something like that. And it's as easy as that. And all you would then do is you could copy that into your map group proto. I like putting edits at the top so I know where all the new stuff is. And you could adjust, you know, the amount of loot that spawns in as well. Yeah, and that could then be usable in an event group that would then spawn loot that would be called from the loot economy. So there we go. So hopefully this video has been useful. Hopefully it's pointed you in the right way. It's really all about practicing and testing with these so that you can give it a go. Remember, these are events, so different things can stop them from spawning in. Sometimes objects won't spawn in because other things are happening close by on the map. You know, there's players nearby or affected nearby or another event that's going nearby. So just be aware of that. Remember, just because something doesn't work in DayZ doesn't always mean you've done something wrong. It just means that something else is going on. And always remember that things like the XML validators are your friend. If you've enjoyed the video, hit like though. And if you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. And I'll see you again soon.